Thanks so much for joining me. It's Chanukah. A happy Chanukah to you. A lichtige Chanukah, which means a Chanukah filled with light. I'm so glad that you took a few minutes to click on here and hear the message I'd like to share with you. The message I'm going to share with you now, actually I shared elsewhere in writing, but I just thought it was so important I wanted to give it over directly to you. A friend of mine on Facebook, on another one of the groups that I belong to, told me, shared actually with us in the group, that it was her very first Chanukah, and she was a little wondering what to do. You know, she said she lit the candles, and then what? You know, we light one candle one day, the second one the next day, the third one the next day, but what do? What's the message of Chanukah? What are we supposed to do? We're so used to hearing in Jewish thought, we have to do this, we have to do that. It seems to be that we're so wound up in the hows and the wherefores and of all the minuete of how to behave, and we're not exactly sure what do we do. Like if we have nothing to do, what do we do next? And if we know what to do next, why are we doing it? And so on and so forth. But she felt that she was a little lost because she lit the candles, they burned for 45 minutes, and she went to bed. Then what? So I thought it was important to share my perspective on what Chanukah really is all about. What's the Jewish holiday of Chanukah? What's it teaching us? Why is it that as we're coming to the darkest days of the year, when it gets dark so early and it's cold and it's depressing, what's the message of Chanukah? And I guess the message of Chanukah could be summed up in one candle. When it's dark outside and we light one candle or we strike a match, everything focuses on that one light. Everything focuses on that candle. And that light, all of a sudden, all the darkness surrounding it tends to disappear. That's the message of Chanukah, really. That we can light a candle and we could banish darkness. We could act like candles, in the way we behave in our everyday, and we banish darkness. A couple weeks ago, there was a fellow in the news, a rabbi who taught 10th grade in Connecticut, and he bought a desk from somebody for $200 on Craigslist. I had the pleasure of interviewing him on my radio program, but my radio program was nothing. He was on CNN, he was on Fox News, he was on the BBC. He was all over the place. I'm sure you probably remember the story. Rabbi buys a desk for $200 on Craigslist, and as he takes it apart in order to be able to get into his house, he discovers $98,000 that had fallen behind. And the person who he bought it from knew that they were missing money. They had a conversation when he was there picking it up, but she had no idea where it was. Could he have kept the money? Would he have been $98,000 richer? He certainly would have been. But what did he do? He lit a candle. He shone the light of what being an authentic Torah Jew was all about, and he made a Kiddush Hashem. He sanctified God's name by calling her up and returning the money to her. No, she wasn't Jewish, and that didn't make a difference. Somebody said to me, oh, maybe he didn't have to return it, maybe he could have kept it, it was money after all, and how could she prove that it was hers, and so on and so forth. None of those thoughts entered into his mind. He knew that when times are dark, it's our responsibility to light the way. And that's the message of Chanukah. The shortest days of the year, and it's our responsibility to light a candle. The first mitzvah of Chanukah, the first night of Chanukah, we light one candle, right? And yet what do we do on that first night of Chanukah? We take a shamus, we take a guardian candle, whose job is to light that one candle. So yes, we could stand by ourselves, and we could stand tall and proud. Just one. That's fine. We can do that. And yet, we're never alone, really, because there's someone who's watching over us. There's a guardian, Kadosh Baruch Hu, God, who's watching over us, and He's protecting us. But not only that, we have to draw our strength from those before us, who had the light lit before that. Our rabbis, our teachers, and so on and so forth, going back in the generations. That's also the message of the first night of Chanukah. But what do we do? What do we do? Do we have matzah? Do we have a seder? Do we learn a particular piece of Torah? What are we supposed to do? And the message of Chanukah, again, is that it's not about the ethereal or the spiritual or the otherworldliness. It's about the here and now. It's about the way when we get up in the morning we decide that we're going to live a proper Torah lifestyle. It's about when we get up in the morning and we say, you know what? There's something far greater than just ourselves that's going on right now. And when we live a proper lifestyle, people will look at us just like they looked at that rabbi who taught 10th grade in Connecticut and says, that's the way a Jew should behave. You know, we hear often negative things in the media, and we know that there are problems out there that need to be corrected, and there's problems that we all have to work on. That's okay. That's okay. The trick is not to ignore the problems and put your head in the sand. The trick is to say, you know what, I'm going to live my life properly so that there'll be light that other people could see the right way to act as well. That's the message of Chanukah. On Chanukah we eat oily foods, and yes, we eat the oily foods to commemorate the miracle of the oil. And we spin the dreidel, we spin that top to remember that the children themselves were willing to give up their lives in order to study Torah and to live a Torah life. And that's why they have the dreidels. The children hid in the caves from the Greeks. And whenever they came in and they accused them of learning Torah, they said, what do you mean? We're just playing a game. So we have the dreidel to remember that even children were imbued with the desire to live a proper Torah lifestyle, and the oily foods, and the candles, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's all about how we live our lives. That's the message of Chanukah. This Chanukah, when the days get dark early, remember that it's up to you, it's up to me, to light the candle in the way we behave, and to make sure that we light the way for the rest of the world to live. Have a wonderful Chanukah, and a great Shabbos. Take care.